Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Baton Rouge's Live Music, LiveWire. Tonight, as always, we try to bring you the best in content, and we got a good one tonight. Mr. Dale Murray is with us, two-time Grammy nominee, musician, road work, interesting stories back from the early 60s all the way through the 70s, something going. And, of course, he is brought here by the courtesy of Mr. Mike Shepherd, our old pal here in the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame. Because
I'm back again.
That's right. Mr. Murray here is being inducted, and we're very proud to have him with us tonight. Doug, how you doing, bud?
Doing great.
Doug.
Yeah.
Dale, I'm sorry.
Doing great.
Well, he was doing great as Doug as well. It's amazing. Yeah. That's one thing about musicians. They have split personalities, okay?
Yeah.
No, they're confused.
Really. That's right. Anyhow, we have a really kind of remarkable past to start with here. Doug, where did you get started? You're going to tell our audience about
Well, from the very beginning,
right.
the genesis and everything, my lifelong best friend, Phil Gay, who was a longtime bass player around here, we met each other when we were 3 years old, lived next door to each other, stayed friends, and where we moved to Baton Rouge, we always kept in touch and spent the night with each other and whatever. But when we got to be about 13 years old, we used to go to the CYO Center on Friday night dances and everything, shows, and all the best bands in Baton Rouge were there, and singers and bands coming up from New Orleans. And, of course, we were there to try to meet some girls, too, and everything. But anyway, the music and everything just seemed so exciting. It kind of, moved us like, this is pretty cool. We could hear before the curtain was pulled and everything, instruments tuning up and all the sounds and everything. So that eventually led to us beginning to play music. I got an old guitar, took some lessons. He bought a set of drums, started out as a drummer. And we used to just jam at home and everything. I played instrumentals and he played along. And he decided about a year into that, or maybe before, forming a little band, that he wanted to be a bass player. He thought he'd be better. And it turned out that he was. He's one of the best bass players around Baton Rouge, here for a long time. But anyway, that was the very beginning, the start. So that's when we formed the Barons back in those days. And when Phil went on bass and everything, we got a drummer from Baton Rouge High, a classmate of mine named Sammy Vincent, who was a terrific drummer, and added a few horn players and a vocalist. And started playing jobs, making money. And we kind of went beyond the vocalist ability and everything, the music and everything. And we're looking for another singer. And a friend of mine said, I have this big young kid lives in the neighborhood that's got a terrific voice and everything. So I said, well, let's give him a shot, an audition. It turned out to be Kent Rowell, a.k.a. Luther Kent. I gave him his first job in a real band when he was 14 years old, and he had the same voice then and the presence on stage that he did later on in his career and everything. So that was kind of the beginning of everything there. We were together for about 2 years until he got an opportunity to go out on the road and everything. So that's how the basis of everything in the very beginning, I guess, when I started.
And my part of the beginning is Phil and I went to school together.
Okay.
And graduated together.
All right, it's Struma.
It's Struma.
Okay.
Well, if I can interrupt here, I can tell you that Phil Gay is my oldest son's grandfather-in-law. So it's quite the small world. And is he an outstanding bass player?
Really?
Absolutely.
Really.
He is incredibly good at every different musical genre I've ever heard him play in.
Right.
He's one of those natural kind of guys.
Yeah.
And so he's an Struma guy, too. It's amazing.
He was so natural. At one point I had him in a band. He played a fretless.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A good fretless.
Oh, look.
Yeah.
He can play.
Yes.
The guy is awesome. Okay, so anyway, now that we've had our Phil Gay talking here, we can actually move on here to the next particular place. Because you're going from the Barons, you had the Mersey Sounds. Now, this came apart in kind of the middle 60s.
Right, around, I think, the fall of 65 and everything. That's when Luther had basically was leaving and everything, and we were kind of, well, what are we going to do now? And we were approached by Bill Dunham, who was going to organize a new band, kind of the British wave thing, had come in and call it the Mersey Sounds. So basically, he hired the core of the Barons with Phil, me, and Sammy Vincent, and he had Randy Savello come into the band too. So that was the original 5, and we added a 6th guy to that group named Spencer Turner, who was a classmate at Baton Rouge High. He was the obligatory tambourine man that you had to have back in those days, and he had Beatle hair, and he sang good harmony. So
which was also obligatory.
Right, and that day, yes, it was obligatory.
Yeah.
You know, if you didn't have those bangs.
Right, so
you know,
that was the beginning of the Mersey Sounds, and we put out 345s during the 3 years we were together, and I guess the biggest one was the first one. We became known as kind of the Beach Boys of the South. We put out a 45 called Honda Holiday, and just wore a lot of beach-looking music and everything, clothes and all that. But about still half of our material was still what we grew up with R&B and rock and roll and everything. And then we did the British thing too and all that. But that band had a lifespan of about 3 years. Randy left to form another band. Later on, we got Jimmy Cheek into the band. Excellent singer, guitar player, and keyboard player. And then we added Tommy Clanton, Jimmy's younger brother, as a second drummer. Sammy and Tommy played sets at the same time. And we had a set of timpani drums, too, that Tommy would get on, and some of that Righteous Brothers stuff.
Tommy could sing almost as good as Jimmy.
Yeah, he sounded just like Jimmy, a great singer, too. So that was a really great group of guys and everything there.
See, just in this little bit of talking here, we've got mentioned Jimmy Clanton and his brother Tommy. Matter of fact, Jimmy Clanton used to live across the street from my cousin, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay.
The world is getting smaller by the moment as we speak here. And then also Luther Kent, who we glossed over a little bit, but Luther, who just recently passed away.
Yeah.
Unbelievably great singer, huge voice, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Member of Blood, Sweat, and Tears for a period of time.
Right.
Had Trick Bag, which was his go-to group around here. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you were with and helped bring along some of the talents of, at that time, tomorrow then, you know. So,
yeah.
And then, of course, you moved on to Delta Freight, which was another good band around here.
Right. Yeah, after the Mersey Sounds, the guys wanted me to, form another group and, go another direction and everything. That's when I formed the Factory, actually, after the Mersey Sounds and everything. That was, and we'd added 2 trumpets to that band, Glenn and Dale Morrow, brothers. And Glenn Morrow was a terrific trumpet player. I got him down the road further when I played in Buffalo some years later. He was one of the trumpet players there and everything. But the Factory did well, and that band evolved into the first version of Delta Freight and everything. So anyway, from about 1968, maybe the end of that year, 1969, 70, and 71, the Factory and Delta Freight. And played a lot of proms and formals and fraternities and clubs and, traveled to an extent and everything during those years. But there again, a lot of really good guys went through those groups and everything. And one of my, there's so many guys, I'm going to leave out mentioning everybody that I ever played with, but I mean, there are a few that everything that are special people. And part of the Factory and Delta Freight was our drummer, Boo Pusho, who was, funky and sang like a bird, So he's one of the guys that just stood out. He was such a great guy, too. But like I say, I can't mention everybody that I played with, and I know some people are going to be left out, but all those guys deserve a piece or whatever of what I'm presented with here tonight, because they all, I assimilated something from all of those people, their talent that came into me somehow along the way that made me a better musician maybe even a better person here or there. Like
And
that. So
right back at them too,
know,
I'm sure.
Oh, definitely.
Now, you told me earlier when we were talking about when being on the road when you booked that tour up in Canada, and your wife was pregnant, and you had your first child.
Right.
So that was had to be an interesting sort of strain as well as a wonderful growing experience at the same time for you.
Right. That that was quite a thing and everything. After I'd gone through Buffalo and Sweet Pepper after Delta Freight and everything. How I got into Buffalo, I played with several guys before that. Pete Verbois especially, a terrific sax player,
Yes, he
a
was.
great arranger.
Yeah.
Did a lot of work with us recording and everything. But he was one of the ones that came to me, along with Frankie Radassa and a couple other guys, and said, "We need a bass player desperately. We want you to play bass in this band." And I played guitar for like 10 years up to that point. And he said, "You can do it." So anyway, I borrowed a bass from somebody and practiced for about 3 weeks with albums and the song list and started coming around and everything. And I bought a big Ampeg rig and a Fender Precision and said, "Okay, I'm going to give it a shot, guys." And then from there, the last, I guess, 6 or 7 years, I was a bass player and loved it and everything. So that's how that kind of came about.
You can't argue
with
that
Buffalo.
when you find it and it hits on it.
Yeah.
But now, after all that's over, you moved back to Baton Rouge? Or you moved to Nashville,
Well,
I think.
now, that was pre-Nashville.
Okay.
Okay. So after Buffalo and everything, Sweet Pepper came along, which was some of the guys from Buffalo. David Peters, Bobby Campo, Pete Verbois, Vince DiStefano, John Eric Hayes, and we had Larry Sieberth on keyboards in that band too. So we were the house band at the J Club, and I stayed with that for about 6 months. And then I got an opportunity. I just felt like I needed to do something different, go another direction. And a guy who had played drums with me back with Delta Freight for a while in the factory, I got a recording contract in Nashville with kind of a country rock type thing. And he called me one day and asked if I knew anybody that played bass. He was putting together a band up there. And I just decided to take a shot and say, "Well, how about me? I'm ready to get out on the road and do something different and everything." And that band became another incarnation of Delta Freight until the end of around 1977 when I retired. But we stayed on the road about 50 weeks a year, take Christmas off and maybe a week in June for a vacation and hit the road again. And I moved my wife up to Nashville. We got rid of our apartments and everything because we never were there. Everything stayed on the road all the time. And but that was a good group and everything, and evolved into a great time and all that. So that was it kind of up until that time. But Delta Freight, getting back to the Canada thing, the band after that and everything, I had booked in 1976 in the fall, 12-week tour of Canada. And my wife had become pregnant while we were on the road, and she traveled with me for about 2.5 years. And so anyway, he was born about a week before I had to leave for Canada. So that time had, worked out great, and I was gone all that time. And when I came back and everything, that's kind of when I had to make a decision about what was I going to do from here, with a family, and do I want to still live that kind of life and everything. And that's when I kind of gave up playing professionally, basically. And that kind of started the time with recording and producing and writing and everything with a guy that I had met up with in Nashville when we formed that band up there named Rex Pierce. Rex had called me in 1977 and said he wanted to start writing and producing 45s and things like that on a small scale. And that's how we kind of got together and wrote together, co-produced recording sessions, which led to up until now, basically what we've been doing since that time, recording and everything. So anyway, that's another step in the life and everything, and that's something that I've really enjoyed learning along the way, starting off with the tape, the analog recording, and going from studios, the smaller ones, to C-Saint in New Orleans, Alan Toussaint Studio. We recorded at RCA in Nashville, produced session up there, and a great project at Studio in the Country in Bogalusa in January of 1980 with LaRue. We used a lead singer that I had toward the end of Delta Freight for about a year, named Carl Dornier, Gomer, and we wanted to promote him as an artist and everything. LaRue did all the instrumental tracks for that LP that we did at Studio in the Country, and we had horn sections led by Pete Verbois, who did all the arrangements and everything, put all that together, and that was in 1981. Now that LP was not released until 2010. We tried, but as an independent, promoter or whatever, battling the big guys with big budgets and everything, we just could not get it off the ground as good as we thought it was, and everything like that. But that was a great learning experience. Those guys were terrific in the studio, and everybody did a great job there. So, but that led to year after year, progressing further and further into what led up to our stuff in the last 2-3 years and everything, where we got the 2 Grammy nominations and everything.
One of those would be this one with the Groove Crew, and this was called Run to Daylight.
Right, there was an LP that we used.
And this was from 2023, the nomination.
Yeah, actually,
right.
Yeah, for 2022, I think
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But a song on there called "S New Orleans" was nominated as the Best American Roots Performance for that year and everything. And we made it to the final voting round, where they picked the final 5 that the eventual Grammy winner was picked from. But anyway, our featured artist on this, we had a group of great studio musicians we call the Groove Crew, was Nick Daniels III, who was a vocalist and bass player with Dumpster Funk out of New Orleans. That's Ivan Neville's band. He was with them for about 20 years. And unfortunately, he passed away at the end of April, had multiple myeloma, found out about 2 months earlier than that. But these guys did a terrific job on that. Rex and I co-wrote and co-produced, and most of the material on here, and he wrote some himself. And another guy that I've got to really give a lot of credit to here is Nelson Blanchard, who owns Techno Sound Studio, where we recorded. We've been working there for about the last 12 years, roughly, and we did our 2 Grammy-nominated LPs at Techno Sound. And Nelson was a major player as a musician, a terrific keyboard player. Did a lot of the background vocals and everything, and mixing and all that. Just a super talented guy.
Well, he actually was in LaRue for a while, too.
Oh, he
days,
still is.
yeah.
I mean, he's been on
He kind of comes in and out,
as a second keyboard player for a
I
long
actually
time.
recorded Spoons over at Techno Sound Studio many years ago for a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I wanted to play Spoons working at the Red Lobster when I was in high school.
Oh.
Had me come play Spoons for him. And this is the second Grammy nominated one here,
Right.
which is, again, the Groove Crew. But this featured a Baton Rouge local, Jonathan Boogie Long,
Yeah.
who is a bit of a luminary around here by all matter means. The guy is a superb blues guitar player who may be coming to a town near you sometime soon.
Yeah.
So this was for 2023?
Right, 2023.
Right.
This was nominated as Best Contemporary Blues Album and everything. So we didn't make it quite as far with that one, but it still was a good product, and he's a terrific player and singer.
Grammy nominated twice.
Twice.
Doesn't matter how many close you may get or not get.
Yeah.
He got that far, which the rest of us can just dream about it now.
Yeah.
So congratulations
yeah,
on that one for
well,
sure.
I appreciate it. But I've got to thank my partner for all these years, Rex Pierce and everything, for keeping me towing the line and everything, writing down songs that I wrote instead of just having it in my head and everything. He was a very disciplined writer and everything, so he kind of kept me on the straight and narrow all these years, and been a good team and everything. So.
Well, you got the wild man and then the straight guy, so
There you go.
that's how it works out.
Right.
But because of things like this is one of the reasons we're sitting here today, and we're going to turn it over here to Mike Shepherd, who's going to be giving him an award that is well deserved, as you've heard from what we've talked about tonight. So to Dale, I got it right this time, okay?
There you go. Good job.
Not Doug this time. Dale, Michael, I give you the floor.
Dale, you want to give any comments?
That is beautiful. That is absolutely great. I tell you
Hang
what.
on, let's get this around here. Notice that crew cut, guys, okay?
Yeah, boy, that was back in the 60s.
Yep.
Yeah, I tell you what. But, yeah, I appreciate this so much, Mike, and everything. Quite an honor. And, I mean, the work that you do for this organization, the time that you put in and the hard work, and for the state of Louisiana, I mean, this is a huge resource.
It wasn't easy.
Music and everything, and
It was just
your
really
documentation and everything of all these people, these great players. And I can't tell you what an honor it is just to be in the company
And
of mention.
with my artwork goes this little welcome from Jeff Landry.
From the governor of the state. There we go.
Ah,
How about that?
okay.
Dale Murray right here from the state of Louisiana.
That's
Official
great.
statement. Here you go.
Yeah. All right.
For the Music Hall of Fame. Congratulations to you, Dale.
Thank you very much,
This is
Mike.
quite something.
Bob.
And Mike,
Welcome.
Great.
as always, with your stuff you bring to us. And one of the things that Mike also brings, and bring the book out here. Let's show that book off a little bit here. This is Mike's book called Shepherding the Music, which talks about certainly past performers in the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame, which definitely is worth your time to check out. This book is available where? At the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame website.
In the
.com
website
or
and in
.org?
my trunk.
In the trunk. Just follow him around and just give him a honk. He'll open it up. I promise you that. You can get paperback as well as hardback. This one's mine, so it's
The
a hardback
hardback's
version.
the way to go. It's a coffee table book. It's meant to be a conversation piece on a coffee table.
Yep.
And flip through it, there's like 250 pictures over the years. I found a lot more. I picked these to go in.
And there'll be some more additions to the book with Dale. I'm sure going to be added in since we have this thing from the governor here. That means you have to do it here in this state.
Yeah.
If you don't, once the governor does it, I'm afraid.
It's official.
That's right.
You're
there.
stuck with it.
That's right. So once again, I can only say thank you, Dale, for coming by.
Great.
This was something, and Mike, of course, for coming up with some Louisiana Music Hall of Fame information and
I
data.
want to thank
And
Bob for giving me the forum to present some of these.
the platform, my friends, is right here for everyone with music. But I will tell you this, I would also very much appreciate all of you who are enjoying the content we have here tonight to go ahead and subscribe, click the bell, and also make a comment. Oh, and a like. We want that thumbs up. That would really help us out. We'd really appreciate it a whole lot. So I really wish you would do that. And I look forward to seeing all those clicks
Where do you
coming
see
down
the
the
show?
line. On Baton Rouge's live music at YouTube. That's where you'll see the show right now. So please come along and share it with your friends, because I'd like them to be able to have a chance to hear what Dale, a.k.a. Doug, would have to say from time to time.
Yeah,
And,
Doug left.
That's right.
He's back here
But,
someplace.
and his best friend was now a family member of mine.
Yeah.
And all the other connections that have come through here. This was one of the things that's very beautiful that I hope you all can appreciate, and you'll come back and share again. We'll have some more content for you soon. So thank you once again for coming by. Don't forget to subscribe, click the bell, give us a thumbs up, and make a comment. Thank you.
Thank
and good
you,
night.
Bob.
Bye.
Great.